While the demand was made, there's now action on the ground. This afternoon, soldiers remain on the field trying to dismount illegal miners who've been mining heavily in and around the country's rivers and water bodies. It was the crux of the current agitations from organized labor, civil society groups, and the general Ghanaian population who have been demanding an end to illegal mining or Galamsey. This afternoon, we are examining the enforcement as well as the first protest starting today. We'll also look at reactions from Ghanaians after yesterday's anti-climax by organized labor. Let's start off though from Operation Halt. Maswala Agboba is our man on the ground and he will be joining us pretty soon with update on what is happening so far. This one, when we spoke, the team had got into the eastern region and they've been trying to, confiscate, arrest and fight illegal mining. On the Zoom with us is Yao Nsako, a member of the Ghana Coalition Against Galamsey. Very shortly, we'll also be joined by Reverend Father Nicholas Azin, President, National Justice, Peace and Integrity of Creation. They are also leading the Catholic Church to embark on a prayer protest tomorrow. And we'll also be speaking to my colleague. My colleague, Erasa Saridonko, also took a trip to Anyinam in the eastern region where illegal mining activities is actually high on the agenda. And before we bring in my guest, this is what Erastus found when he visited Anyinam yesterday.
There are indications illegal mining has gone on about 200 meters behind the Anyinam police station. Just some 5-minute walk from the police station, illegal miners have redirected the course of the Brim River. Many of the residents are worried about the impunity with which illegal miners have taken over water resources in the community. One of them, who was willing to speak, shared his frustrations with us.
This is Anyinam, and behind me is the Anyinam police station. Now, this is what has become the subject of discussion of late. Behind this police station, about 200 meters, you will find an illegal mining site, which looks abandoned. But ahead of me, that is ahead of the Anyinam police station, about 100 meters from here, there are a lot of mining sites, illegal mining sites, lining the Brim River, which is just here to this direction. So I'm going to go over there and we're going to film and show you the number of mining sites we have ahead of the Anyinam police station.
President in Sunu, almost in Sunama and Sunu, a broken one, in fact, having and there's a former ultimate and for Gallon, tell me as autopilot and another call is a fool. And yet, a ma abandons and made a guassi. I was saying, man who Timid second a coming qua, Naka, send a commodity, Chahan for no, since no more. Anna, if on so I cry never by a for as a channel for no academy by Amo, Oko, Francis Nechi, Omoto, say a Honyama, a Chahan for no. It made a coming qua. Anka aban Galamsey ni bia mbeso le batunu nso bia mo nkunu wonche no no ofane kotum.
On the inaction of the police, despite the proximity of the illegality to the law enforcement agency, he said the commander cannot act without the backing of the chief of the town.
Zino betimi etona mankopokora no a ebe no peni wo hin bi esa sase ba ha. Nti obepmap mo an na emwe. Nti metoka senti ne teacher ne tintin yanse sadia se bi ohin ni eto na mo ebe che command se be say na atomidi a e ma command so hoden e ma zo etusa ne be command be to na mo na no hin na e de esase e ma na ma fo e aduma no e ma sa no se bi onu kwa se bi onu kwa se bi o ye ba kofo e mo man ana se bi onu command so no onko a opimpim mo e de emwe ni so hin no an support no dia o de na hoden ntimi anya hwe.
Few days ago, you could see that there were a number of champagne machines working and operating here by the Brim River. Now you can see the nature of the river as it flows over here, prevented by a number of champagne machines which sit on it over there. Now the place has been cleared, but that is the Kumasi Accra Road. And that is the Anyinam Bridge over the Brim River. And the pollution has gone on for months. under the direct watch of the police.
The result of the unchecked illegality at Anyinam is the highly polluted brim flowing along the main Kumasi-Accra road. Time will tell whether these Shamfan operators are really gone. Reporting for Joy News, Erastus Asaredonko, Anyinam, Eastern Region.
Right, so, that is the situation. Anyinam became important because of the comments made by the Chief Executive Officer of the Minerals Commission, Mr. Ayisi, when he appeared before the the Government Assurances Committee of Parliament, where he made the allegation that at Anyinam police station, illegal mining is actually taking place, or was taking place at the time he appeared before the committee. So Erastus is sort of fast-checking that issue, and then that is the story that he brought. Now, let me bring in Reverend Father Nicholas Azin, President, National Justice, Peace, Integrity of Creation. They are leading the Catholic Church to embark on the prayer protest tomorrow. He will also be taking you live today in where the renewed fight against illegal mining is ongoing. My colleague, Marshal Agbagba, is with the military personnel who are undertaking or who are enforcing the president's directive. Reverend Father, you're welcome to the pulse.
Well, thank you very much. Good afternoon to everyone.
Right. So, we are all still trying to, get out of what happened yesterday and to look at the way forward. So, first of all, let me ask you, let me pick your reaction to how organized labor concluded what was to be a strike today.
Well, I think that is their decision. And I know many people are disappointed somehow, but that is life. We have to learn how to also keep some disappointments as we move on. From what I heard, the government has pulled out the law on the licenses, which is also okay. But we would have, personally, I would have preferred that much of the issues they presented to the government, at least half of it, could be enough reason for them to pull out. But anyway, I think it's a good cause. Let's keep praying that more of the things will be answered.
And the directive that President Akufo-Addo provided yesterday, the clarity that he brought to government new approach to dealing with this menace, one of them includes what we are witnessing this morning, the deployment of over 100 military personnel to river bodies and places where illegal mining is so rife, and so some of them are currently in the eastern region. One of our reporters with them. Does this give you satisfaction that at long last something is being done now?
Yes, we are happy something is happening, but at the same time, we still want to go and then pray, either way. For instance, if you were going to God to ask for a car, and then on the way you get a car, I think you will still continue to go and thank God for answering a prayer you have not even prayed for. So for us, it's a prayer. So whatever directives that the government has brought, we'll still go ahead to pray and thank God for those directives that they will work. Those directives will materialize. We cannot say because they have come out, so therefore we also pull out from our prayer work. No, we still want to go and thank God that at least some responses, even though we have not prayed for that, but then some responses are coming. And we thank the government for that, but we will still go on to go and pray.
So Father, tell me, this prayer protest, what really is it about?
And we'll also change what is happening.
All right, so we lost you briefly there, but I just want to understand what this prayer protest is about.
Well, the prayer is a prayer walk. To bring out some awareness that something is happening that we need to take care of. And secondly, to pray and thank God that at least some things are happening, some new developments are coming, as we see that the police are being deployed and all of that. Initially, we're going to pray and ask that the Lord will touch the hearts of the government, touch the hearts of all the stakeholders, so that they will bring out something good. However, now that we see that something new is coming up, it's good news, all right. But we still want to pray over that. So that is what we want to go about. Yeah.
So that means you undertake a walk tomorrow?
Yes, we'll still do the walk tomorrow. We'll still pray whilst walking tomorrow.
Okay. So it is not usually walk in these circumstances can best be described as a demonstration. Yours is not a demonstration.
No. We are not into demonstration. Normally, in the church, you will have seasons or times within the church liturgy, the Catholic Church liturgical celebrations. We have things like Palm Sunday. We have a Corpus Christi, where we go and pray for other intentions of the country and intentions of the church and intentions of some individuals. So this is one of them. So it's not so much of a protest. We wouldn't call it a protest, but this time, at least we have a focus. And the focus is what? The Galamsey. And as I said earlier, it doesn't mean that we should change or we should withdraw.
Right.
Whatever decisions that...
We appear to have lost Reverend Father on the line because of connection issues. We'll try and see if we can bring him back on. And then, yeah, so Reverend, you were making a point about exactly how yours will turn out.
Yeah, so ours is going to still be the prayer walk. Ours is still going to pray. Like I said, even if the government has come up with all these measures to help out, we are still going to pray and thank God for that, and also commit all these measures and the people who are being sent there, the soldiers who are being sent there, and the individuals who are sitting around to talk. We are going to pray for all these people so that at least God will still listen to our prayers. So we are not just ending it because some measures have been pronounced or some measures have been taken or are in the course. We still want to go ahead and pray.
All right. Because I have you, let me give you the opportunity to clear this for us. Now, we are now witnessing a statement that is coming from the Ashanti region. The Ghana Catholic Bishop Conference is refuting claims that it is organizing an environmental prayer protest against Galamsey or illegal mining. According to Most Reverend Gabriel Justice Anoche, Archbishop of Kumasi, the prayer walk is actually being organized by the Accra Diocese. I don't know what your reaction will be to this matter.
Yeah, actually, this is being organized by the major superiors and the Accra Archdiocese. And we are taking inspiration from the many communiques that were issued by the Bishop Conference and also the major superiors. As he said, it is very true. It is not the Ghana Catholic Bishop Conference that is organizing this, but it is actually the Archdiocese of Accra and the major superiors.
Reverend, let me ask a final question before I let you go. So what vibe are you getting from your congregants, especially those around mining areas? How devastating it is. I mean, this week we reported the SDA Church, for example, now constructing something in their compound to undertake baptism because the water bodies they've been using is become so contaminated. It doesn't even augur well for them to undertake this sacred duty of baptizing new converts.
Come again.
No, I asked about the vibe you are getting from your congregants, especially those in mining areas. And I make reference to the story that came up this week from the SDA Church in the Ashanti region. And they say that, I mean, baptizing new converts is becoming difficult. And for that reason, they've even had to construct something on their compound because the river body, the river they've been using has become so contaminated that it doesn't even augur well to undertake this sacred duty.
Yeah, so I didn't get a question actually.
Right, so I was asking about the vibe or the complaints you're getting from your congregants. And I make reference to the SDA Church saying that baptizing new converts is becoming difficult because the rivers they've been using has become so contaminated. That's the extent to which it's affecting every facet of our society.
Well, yeah, I mean, that is one of them. But I mean, when we talk about health issues, we talk about other issues. It's also affecting a lot of people. Christians, ordinary Ghanaians, everybody is affecting us. So it's not so much about the baptisms that are going to be done in the rivers. but I think it is having a toll on people's lives. And that is what we should look at first. I mean, as for baptism, yes, once the rivers are clear, and then we can see light and everybody has something to drink, we can talk about baptism as well.
All right. So what time is the prayer protest starting tomorrow?
So tomorrow, it will be we start at 8 in the morning with some few programs in the church. That is some few prayers also. And then after that, by 10 o'clock, we'll leave the cathedral, the Holy Spirit Cathedral in Accra. And then we'll move on the principal streets all the way to Christ the King Parish, Cantonment.
All right. Thank you.
And then when we get to Cantonment,
right,
we might have the opportunity to present our petitions also to the President.
That is just opposite the Jubilee House.
Sure.
All right. Thank you so much. We'll follow up on this protest walk, protest prayer by the Catholic Church here in the Greater Accra region. Now, the Ghana Academy of Nutrition and Diabetes is warning that illegal mining, popularly known as Galamsey, is severely impacting the country's nutrition. And speaking at the 9th Nutrition Conference, President of the Academy, Professor Kingsley Kwadwo Asare Prekun, highlighted the leaching of chemicals from Galamsey operations into water bodies, which is affecting the quality of fish, food crops, and land use for agricultural production. He emphasized the urgent need to stop illegal mining to prevent future nutritional crises.
Nutrition Conference that offered a rallying grounds to think about the development of the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics. President of the Ghana Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics, Professor Kingsley Kwadwo Asare Prekun, bemoaned how Galamsey is affecting the food crops the country depends on.
The outcome of this conference, basically, one is to come up with a position on the state of our nutrition in the changing world, and importantly also to bring up evidence that could also guide policy discussions and programming for nutrition in Africa. Right, Galamsey has a lot to do on our nutrition. First of all, there's some leaching of these chemicals that are used in this business of Galamsey into our water bodies that affects our fish, that affects our land, that affects the production that we get from in our foods. It is very important that we stop this matter now to save the future. Importantly, its effect on our water bodies is something that is very, very alarming. Very few people can grapple with buying water from imported water. Even what we are producing in this country, we find it difficult to buy. And so this aspect of this destruction that is happening on our water bodies is something that we should be very concerned, because these chemicals that are used in mining also have very debilitating effect on children, most especially mothers, and also on our well-being. Its effect we can see in the changing situations that we have in our time. People dying before their time, the surge in non-communicable diseases could all be attributed to that. Children who are born out of deformities are all situations that we are grappling with because of some of these challenges that Galamsey brings to us. Right? I will appeal to the government to be very firm in stopping the Galamsey menace now to save us a lot in the future that is ahead of us.
Speaking on behalf of the Vice Chancellor of the University of Cape Coast, Professor Martin Eko spoke about the challenges posed by climate change and challenged the scientists to do more.
It is important to iterate that we stand at a critical juncture in our global food systems. In today's rapidly changing world, our food systems face unprecedented challenges. The challenges posed by climate change, rapid urbanization, economic instability, public health crisis, and shifting dietary patterns necessitate a transformative approach to nutrition and food security.
Representing the Central Regional Minister was Blessed Kwame Dake. He indicated government commitment to transforming food systems and improving nutrition in the country.
The government is mindful of the numerous challenges attributed to the food system faced by our dear country, and for that matter, has been making significant strides in transforming food systems and improving nutrition. Among these are the Ghana Commercial Agriculture Project, GCAP, and Food System Resilience Project, FSRP2.
Participants at the 2024 Nutrition Conference outlined measures to improve food security and safeguard nutrition.
So we'll stay with the issue of illegal mining and the new approach to dealing with it. And of course, I'll take you to the Eastern region shortly, where my colleague Marcel Agbagba is with the military, deployment that is ensuring that those undertaking illegal mining are arrested and dealt with. The operation is ongoing in the Eastern region. We'll take you live there. But before we do that, let me bring in Yao Nsako, a member of the Ghana Coalition against Galamsey. And as we talk about this matter, Mr. Nsako, good afternoon, and a pleasure as always to have you on the pulse.
Good afternoon.
All right. So this morning, we woke up to the news that over 100 military personnel are already in some of the river bodies, some in the Eastern region. I'll take my viewers there shortly, and they are enforcing the present new directive to deal with illegal mining. There's also another directive to the Minister for Environment to halt the implementation of LI 2462. These are the two measures taken by government so far. Enough for you?
Well, if you're saying enough for one morning, yes, enough for one morning. If you're saying enough to solve Galamsey, no. Mm-hmm. So yes, these are useful signs that maybe at last this issue is being taken very seriously. But I think you and I and all the people who spoke before, because I was watching, have indicated that this is a hydra-headed issue that needs comprehensive interventions. Mm. So let us see this as the beginning rather than as a sign that Galamsey is being solved so we can all relax.
This week, for example, I read about the genesis of Galamsey in Ghana way before independence. And it's been an issue that has been with this country before independence, throughout the Fourth Republic, and it's now gotten to a point where we all of us are at risk of being run over by illegal mining. Will you say that leadership failure has been the main issue why we are where we are now?
Yes, I would say so, but before I get to that, when we say that there has been Galamsey even before independence, we are right, but what was that Galamsey? Mm. My understanding of the etymology of Galamsey is that it meant gather and sell.
Right.
And then it got corrupted to Galamsey. Many of the people who were involved in it were peasant artisans. They had very basic implements, some a shovel here, pickaxe there. They go into discarded mines or places that were rich in minerals, and they gather the stuff. And what they gather, they can sell. So while we say there has been a long history of Galamsey in Ghana, we also have not seen the degree of pollution of water bodies, destruction of the ecological system that has happened.
Right.
There's a reason why. Because what we are today calling Galamsey has significant technological intensity, sophisticated earth-moving equipment, industrial organization. So it's a very different category of activities. Mm. Even though it is put under the umbrella of Galamsey, we have intensified the extent of pollution and destruction. And that's what makes this very, very different. Mm.
Clearly, you must be disappointed with the way things turned out yesterday after organized labor, decided that they will no longer go on the strike, but rather look at what the government is doing, especially starting today, and they will inform their next move going forward.
On the contrary, I have a slightly different point of view from many others. Mm. I think that organized labor has its autonomous right to discuss with the government and decide for itself where it decides to pause and where it decides to move forward. They feel that they have seen signals that give them reason to want to suspend the strike. It is all part of the conversation and negotiation that goes on. I'm not a member of organized labor. I do not feel that they are the people who owe me the responsibility for resolving this, but I helped to elect a government into place. All Ghanaians, whether they voted for this party or not, as citizens have a vested interest. It is the government that I hold accountable. So it is up to organized labor to manage its tactics and to contribute to a long-term solution which involves all of us as citizens, as stakeholders. But I continuously harp on that the entire country needs to be careful that it doesn't go down this rabbit hole of saying, oh, we're disappointed, and so we forget people are dying, the forests are dying, the water bodies are dying. It is that we're looking for a solution for, not a resolution between government and organized labor. That's an intermediate step, important as it may have been. It is not what we are chasing. As citizens, we are looking for the regeneration and rehabilitation of our ecological system, and I suggest that's what we must focus on.
But what more can we really do? I mean, to push government to the point where government will have no option than to act, and act in the best interest of the public. I mean, a lot of people place a lot of premium in what organized labor was warming up to do. Now that it's out of the way, what more can we do to hold them? It's like we are even begging them to fix what is very important for us.
Well, first is that I hope that given the intensity, especially in the last weeks, but this has been on, if I remember us talking about Galamsey 2015, 2016, so people make it seem as though it's just a few days ago that everybody started talking about. Indeed, the coalition that I represent has been around since 2017. Occupy Ghana and so on and so forth. We're all speaking about this, so it's not that new in that regard. And I would first expect that, given the intensity of the conversation, alarm and just general concern in the populace, that the government will not have to be pushed to act. That the commitments that it has made, it will actually see them through. But it is the responsibility, coming to your question, of us all to ensure that the commitments that have been made, are implemented, executed according to the agreed timelines. And then it is our responsibility, in my view, to also scrutinize and say what else needs to be done. You cannot solve this problem only by sending soldiers and policemen to arrest everybody and confiscate equipment. It may be a part of the things that you need to do, but you need to involve the larger community and all stakeholders. And so those things need to be articulated very clearly. People have spoken a lot about that you have to create the legal context that enables us to take the degree of interventions that are required to be able to solve a problem that is deteriorating at this pace and this scale very quickly. And that's what the call for a state of emergency is about. Sometimes it gets into a kind of abstract conversation. It's just saying that this is now almost a war situation. Our ecological system is being destroyed, or to some extent has been destroyed, and we need to act with intensity to regenerate, save it for ourselves and for the generations to come.
But Mr. Zanko, I mean, for you personally, I'm more interested in the way forward. Now that, I mean, it will take us years to return the environment and the water bodies to the state they were before the destruction. Then with your background in corporate governance, leading a global entity, the way forward, whilst we try to find a way to address the unemployment, which is becoming an excuse for a lot of these folks who are involved in the destruction of the environment, what should be the approach? Now that we know that we can't go back. I mean, doing nothing means preparing for all of us our deaths.
Yeah, first is I'd like to explode that notion that Galamsey has come about because of large-scale unemployment. Yes, it is an issue that large-scale unemployment makes people fodder and they can be recruited for these sorts of purposes. But I am totally unconvinced that it is peasants who have mobilized this industrial-scale organization, bought earth-moving equipment, the Shangfangs or whatever it is that they are called, import chemicals at this scale, it cannot be done.
Right.
There are notably powerful and influential actors involved in this issue, and we should not sidestep it and make it an issue of peasants only. Now, having said that, I am a believer all the time in getting the right expertise across stakeholder communities around the table. When you spoke about my background in global business and so on, but perhaps my background in chemical engineering is what is most important to this conversation.
Right.
So I come in as a chemical engineer with a certain point of view, a certain angle, and a certain perspective. But there are sociological dynamics, there are economic dynamics. The water even has sometimes religious and spiritual dimensions because people, theological dimensions, because people in their faith systems, water and nature has a role. So you have to take it from several angles, including the angle that is not spoken about much, of mass education.
Right.
If you do not educate people about why all these interventions are necessary in the long term for the good and welfare of us all, they will turn against it. And then there's the side of how do you get new income streams. But you have mentioned that. So they are experts in mining engineering, they are experts in environmental studies, they are experts in aquatic biology, they are experts in ecosystem management and so on and so forth. Get those people around the table. All of it has to be put in a legal context, so you need the lawyers as well. The sort of displacement and disruption, you need sociologists, maybe psychologists. Let's get them around the table. This is the national issue. It should not become a partisan polarization issue. It's a national issue. If we don't do it, nowadays when you say Galamsey is an existential threat, there is not even a debate. Everybody agrees.
Right.
That says it all. So we must all come together and sort out this problem.
Should the state play a bigger role in this, or ultimately everything rests with the authority in place? I'm asking because mining itself, from the position we've come to accept, we cannot ban it. Even when we place a ban on it, according to the Minerals Commission, it was around that period that small-scale mining had more gold in that country. So banning it is out of the conversation. Now, how do we exploit this natural good for the benefit of the economy? This week, the news is out. Newmont has sold its Achem mines to a Chinese company at over $1 billion. Imagine this money staying in this country. Because we are not directly involved in terms of state participation, this money is going out of the country. This is a resource that perhaps we've been blessed with. How we are exploiting it is the issue. Can the state or should the state play a key role in terms of harnessing it and perhaps leading the conversation in terms of exploiting it to our advantage?
The simple answer to your question is absolutely yes. Not just an increased role, it must play the principal role. This idea that we can manage the society without state involvement and state management is a very fanciful way of looking at life, what people call the neoliberal approach. It simply does not work. The state, and I don't want to leave it as abstract as that we just talk about the state and then there's no accountability. The state has a chief executive and the commander-in-chief. So the state, led by the principal actor, the chief magistrate of the land, the chief executive of the land, the commander-in-chief, he is the one that must convene all these actors across the stakeholder communities, and they must lead the resolution of this issue. You and I are very committed.
Right.
But how are we going to make law? We cannot make the law. We do not control the armed forces. If we are going to get economic allocations to communities, the regeneration, convening chiefs, and so on and so forth, you and I cannot do it, no matter how much we are committed as citizens. So the simple answer to your question is yes, absolutely. Is there a way that I can say that is more strong than that? Absolutely. And we are here because the state has not led, and because the chief executive of the state has not led. Let's not mince our words about that. That's the reason why we're here. This is a palpable failure of leadership. But we are where we are. If we continue to cry over spilled milk, the situation will get worse. So it's a time to say, let's acknowledge that Leadership has failed, but now leadership must wake up and lead the state and convene all the stakeholders that are required in order that we get out of this space.
Well, we'll look at this space carefully. Mr. Yansako, thank you so much for your time this afternoon. He's a member of the Ghana Coalition Against Galamsey or Illegal Mining. We'll take a short break, and when we return, hopefully we'll take you to the eastern region where the fight is ongoing against Galamsey. Welcome back to the show. Now let's do some other stories. The national president of the Conference of Heads of Assisted Secondary Schools, Reverend Stephen Osusecho, has called on government to, as a matter of urgency, consider the timely disbursement of monies used to purchase perishable goods to schools. Highlighting the concerns at the 22nd Annual CHAS Conference, Ms. Osusecho noted most headmasters struggle to secure the necessary resources to take care of perishable goods and recurrent expenditure, affecting the smooth running of their schools. He again noted most schools could not carry out major activities as a result of the delays in disbursement. Joining us is also getting information about the foods served at the Wesley Girls Senior High School. We have a report. Let's bring that one and we can have that for you.
The 62nd Annual Conference of the Conference of Heads of Assisted Secondary School, which is on the theme Making the Senior High School Community a 21st Century Learning Center, a shared responsibility brought together heads of the various senior high schools across the country to deliberate on issues concerning education, running of their schools, welfare, amongst others. Speaking at the opening ceremony, the national president of CHAS, Reverend Stephen Osusecho, outlined some 8 points he said, if addressed, would help make the running of the free senior high school more efficient.
Free senior high school policy has come to stay, and we members of CHAS are proud to post that we have been the engine, if not the wheels, of the success stories of the policy. In effect, it is our wish that the following issues be taken seriously. 1. Money for perishable should be released on time and in time. We further appeal for upward adjustments to reflect the conditions on the markets. 2. The deficits in the supply of furniture to our schools, including office furniture, must be resolved to ensure proper school organization, effective teaching and learning. 3. Food items like granules, millets, and peas, which have not been supplied for some time now, must be addressed. In addition to that, food items in general must be supplied in time and on time. Incidents of shortages of some food items in some regions must be checked. 4. Money for teacher motivation must be released on time. 5. ECG prepaid meters. I repeat, ECG prepaid meters, which have become albatross around our neck, Honorable Minister. They have fixed prepaid meters on student facilities.
The Minister for Education, Dr. Ya Osei Educhim, promised government would look into the points raised.
The transformation that we are embarking upon will situate us truly in the 21st century. We cannot educate 21st century children in 19th century buildings and environments and expect 21st century outcomes. We have to make progress in education transformation agenda. That is why I like the theme of this conference. A theme that says we have to ensure that we create a learning environment that represents 21st century. This 21st century is the century of the fourth industrial revolution. It's a time when things are changing so rapidly. And in order for us to keep up with the change, we have to make sure we transform our education system. I've heard Charles President, and I know the concerns that you were going to be talking about because you have discussed them with me.
The Northern Regional Minister, Shani Al-Hassan Shaibu, tasked CHAS members to work in addressing indiscipline in the country's senior high schools.
As we are all aware, our schools are supposed to be sanctuaries of learning, where respect, orderliness, personal responsibility should flourish. This is to create an environment that nurtures both academic excellence and behavioral skills. However, this has eluded our current generation of students. Almost every time we hear of students disciplined one way or the other, in fact, examples are found in most of our senior high schools. I would therefore urge us to take up the issue and address it quickly as possible.
Well, let's stay with the issue of food, and the information we are picking is that the shortage is being experienced in some schools as well. A source, we've been to some schools in the central region, we'll bring in the correspondent pretty soon. A source who wants to remain anonymous disclosed students were given porridge without milk for both breakfast and supper on some days because of the food shortage. As Central Region correspondent Eric Asante joins us with more. So Eric, you have been doing some checks in the Central Region. What did you uncover?
So Elton, I can confirm the shortage of essential items like rice, sugar, and oil in most of the secondary schools or senior high schools I visited here in the Central Region. For instance, in schools like the Wesley Girls High School, the Ghana National College, and of course the Infantiman Girls Senior High School, the students I interacted with, Elton, confirmed to me the shortage, and some told me they take rice porridge twice daily, twice in a day, I beg your pardon. Sometimes have to complement the dining hall with their own food from their chop box. In one of the schools, a teacher confirmed to me that the only food item that was available was Tom Brown, and that the kids were supposed to come along with their own sugar and biscuit or bread. Some of the schools that I checked here in the Central Region indicated that some schools, the PTA has stepped in to make sure that they provide foodstuffs for the schools. Most of the heads that I interacted with, Elton, they are tight-lipped for fear of being victimized. So here in the Central Region, the situation is that essential food items like rice, sugar, and oil are short in supply.
But did you get indication as to whether this will improve soon from some of the school authorities that you spoke to?
Please come again.
I'm asking whether you get the indication that this may be resolved soon from your interaction with some of the school authorities.
So, for example, one of the schools in the Central West, specifically Wesley Girls High School, my checks indicated that the situation was bad last week, but it's been resolved this week. Most of the kids that I interacted with indicated to me that the situation was bad initially, but now it's becoming better. Some of the heads also told me that they have gotten supply, and very soon the quantities of food that are served in the dining hall will improve. So by and large, the authorities say everything is on track to make sure that the students get the necessary food that they are supposed to be given in their various dining halls.
All right, Eric, thank you so much, and keep checking for us. But what we are picking is that for some parents, they've already been notified to make it a duty to help supplement what the school is able to provide for their walls. And so for the PAs, that's the Parent Association, most of them have been asked to mobilize resources so that they can help supplement what the school is offering the students. And this is all because of the free senior high school, where government says that it will take care of everything in the schools. Now let me bring in Peter Nochukotoy. He's the ranking member on the Education Committee of Parliament. Honorable, you're welcome. This is a recurring matter. I'm wondering when we can resolve this matter fully so that when the students are in school, feeding them doesn't become an issue of national attention.
Yeah, thank you very much, and good evening to your viewers and listeners. Yes, for almost 3 weeks now, we have had a report of food shortages in our senior high schools. And as a result, the delay in the patient who have been owed millions of Ghana cedis. Yes, It's important that government plays a role that will make sure that food is always available to feed the students. It's not a responsibility of the parents to pay extra money for feeding their students. Yes, as you said, some parents are doing so. It's because of the delay in the release of a budgetary allocation for payment for such supplies to senior high schools. So the first thing that must be done is to make sure that there's a regular release of funds. Then we must also get a dedicated fund for the running of the free education, because it is costly to do so. And if we don't do that in time, I think a time will come where GOG or budgetary allocation will not be available or not enough to feed our students. So for me, there are two things we have to do. One, regular release, and then finding a lasting, sustainable source of funding for the free education. I think that will go a long way to stop the menace of food shortages that we experience every semester.
But Honorable, we are in October. Very soon we'll be entering into November, and I'm sure that we'll have the presentation of another budget for the 2024 fiscal year from your committee and the privileged information that you may have. Is the Ministry of Education getting the releases and getting them on time? Because I know that in terms of budgetary allocation, the Ministry of Education gets more than any other ministry. But in terms of releases, is it normal?
Yeah, that is the biggest challenge for the Ministry of Education, because there are so many agencies under the ministry that depend on GOG. The various institutions must receive money. So, as a committee, yes, we approved or recommended the approval of the various rounds of money. But it is the release. If you listen to us for some time now, the committee will have to talk before money is released to an agency, like the WIEC.
Right.
They have to talk before money was released for the conduct of it. So, yes, I think the Minister of Finance has to release funds on. So, if money is on time, it will be taken. When we complain that coming, that we believe that once a budget has been approved and money is available, government must have a priority. If the free education is their priority, then they must make sure that the monies are released on time to meet the recurrent expenditure. We cannot keep our children hungry because the Ministry of Finance has failed to raise money or release money for the feeding of the students. And that one, I don't think we should encourage it.
One of your recommendations is that we should have a dedicated funding for the free SHS. That ultimately,
yes, that's what I expected government to be doing.
But in the immediacy, where we have children being fed on rice porridge twice in a day, sometimes they ask to bring their own sugar. Even when parents are in a position to help, they are prevented from doing so. Government is also unable to meet this demand. So for the immediacy, what should be done?
Oh, immediately, my brother, if money to be released timely is the only solution. If the government releases money today to the Ministry of Education, that makes sure that foods are available to the institutions within 48 hours, I don't think suppliers refuse or fail supply food to them. So it's a matter of money. It's all about money. Government must be serious about it. If government can get money for other things, why don't you get money to feed the students you have pledged to do or feed them from time to time? Yeah.
All right, Honorable Peter Nochukote is a ranking member on the Education Committee in Parliament. Now, to some other sources, the Mental Health Authority is urging employers, agencies, and institutions to make the mental health of their employees a top priority in order to enhance productivity. At a forum to celebrate the World Mental Health Day with the theme mental health at work, the Chief Executive Officer Authority of the Authority, Professor Pinamanapia, highlighted the crucial link between mental well-being and physical health, warning that neglecting mental health can have serious repercussions.
Improving mental health in the workplace actually leads to increased productivity, because once there's improved mental health in the workplace, there's more employee engagement that would in turn lead to better work outputs, and therefore, of course, we get the increased productivity. Again, it will lead to organizational successes. The organization will do better, and of course, that would then also help improve our economy as a whole. I mean, as a nation, it will improve our economy, and that is why there's a need for us to improve mental health in the workplace. But how do we go about it? And that's why that's what we were saying, that there's a need for us to encourage open conversations on mental health. We want to educate the general public. We want to get to the point whereby every citizen or every Ghanaian comes to understand that mental health or mental well-being is a part of our everyday life. We cannot just be thinking of just a mentally or acutely mentally ill person as being the mental well-being. Mental well-being is a continuum, and that's why we continue to educate people that it's part of our everyday life. So again, we are encouraging organizations to help train their leaders and managers so that they'll be able to pick up signs and symptoms of someone going through some form of mental health challenges.
So let's explore this matter, which is very important if you ask me. We are joined by Dr. Julius Zache, a psychiatrist. Dr. Zache, you're welcome to the Pulse.
Much.
Right, so, I mean, mental health, I mean, how important is it, especially in our everyday setting?
Mental health is, if I'm to put it in perspective for you in terms of the value we should place on it in our health system, as the bedrock for every aspect of our health as individuals. It's the one area in our health that is pervasive, and anything that we do that we are unable to achieve the optimum best, or we are not able to hit or bring out the highest possible ability that we have, is what mental health is supposed to be about. Unfortunately, society is seeing mental health as rather just the people who are walking about naked in the streets and looking disabled. And so we've relegated mental health to the background. But indeed, anything that is affecting our productivity as human beings, anything preventing us from achieving our potential, anything that's preventing us from feeling well and having that sense of well-being is a component of our mental health. And this includes things like emotional issues that we may suffer from, including even physical issues, because it's a very well-known fact that even general medical conditions on their own, they draw to themselves other mental health conditions, commonly depression and anxiety among them. And to the extent that sometimes when you are treating some of these general medical conditions, and you do not pay attention to the depression and anxiety that may come along with it, your treatment is flawed, and often you will not get the right results. So mental health is so important that it transcends every aspect of our lives and of our society as a race or as a people. Yeah.
So Dr. Jache, are there warning signs that we should look out for, especially for somebody who may look sane, well-dressed, punctual at work, may not exhibit any sign of going through any difficult time. Are there signs that on a personal level I should look out for? Are there signs that people around me should look out for and say that this person may need help, and for that reason, that help should be extended?
Of course. So it all boils down to being observant and being caretakers of each other. So if you have a colleague at work who you know to be a very cheerful person, and all of a sudden he seems to have a change in his countenance, the temperament seems to have changed. That is not the time you say, okay, he or she is being a too known person, as we usually say in our local settings and in our local parlance. But then that's the time to draw closer, find out what exactly is going on with them, and offer them or lend them a helping hand. Sometimes it comes as changes in punctuality. This person comes to work very, very punctually. They come to work latest by 7 a.m. They're at work, but now they are always late to work. They get to work, they are looking sleepy, they are sleeping behind the computer all the time. They are making mistakes which otherwise they wouldn't have made. It's the time for you to draw closer to such a person, ask them questions, find out if there's anything that you can do to assist them and help them to get them out of the particular situation that they may be in, or even sometimes refer them to the appropriate source of help if you cannot offer any help at that moment in time. So there are a number of things. You realize they are probably drinking. They are drinking more than usual. They are your drinking buddies. You probably spend weekends together, but these days you meet them in the middle of the week and you realize that they are still soaked, they are still drunk. It's time for you to ask them questions and offer them the necessary assistance in one way or the other. Any change in behavior that for you observe to be out of the norm for that particular person, I think it's an opportunity for you to ask a few questions and offer a lending hand to such a person.
But how pronounced is this in the Ghanaian workforce? Is it something that we take it serious or something that we ignore, thinking that it will blow over?
So the issue about mental health is that it's not simply the absence of a diagnosable disease or disorder for that matter. An individual may not have a particular diagnosis, but they may not be mentally healthy at the end of the day. Now, in the work setting, people suffer from various health conditions, but then because often everybody is trying to protect their fame because of stigma that is associated with mental health issues, sometimes people tend to internalize issues. They keep it to themselves, and they sometimes do not even know where to go to get the access to the necessary assistance for them to traverse the difficult situation that they may be going through at that point in time. So it's a very common situation, and we are saying that in Ghana, over 60% of our workforce, of our population is currently working. Yeah. And this group of people are usually the youth. So you can imagine the kind of stress that people will be going through. And if indeed we do not put measures in place to protect and promote the mental health of this workforce, right, it means that productivity will drop. And we will not see the progress that we want to, or we envision when it comes to the country as a whole right now. So it's something that we need to prioritize. Right. We have to put it ahead of other things. There may be the need, if you are cutting budgets, mental health of your employees is not one of the things that you should be cutting as a CEO or as a manager. It should be rather an area that you invest, because the more you invest there, you get more returns in terms of productivity,
but this is your area. In terms
of the happiness of your employees.
Mr. This is your area. I mean, I'm sure you work with organizations. Do you really think, I mean, is this something that is taken serious by organizations and the way they respond to these matters as it relates to their employees?
So I must say that there are a few organizations which are quite particular about the health of their staff, and for that matter, the mental health as well of their staff. Some organizations have approached us as individuals and even at Pantan Hospital for us to develop an employee assistance program for them. But these are a few, and I could probably count them on my 10 fingers, and some will be left, some of the fingers will be left behind. So it means that it's not an area that is very well known. Clearly. It's not an area that we pay much attention to. I'm sure, I don't know if you, as you are there now, you have an employee assistance program to help or facilitate your mental health at the moment. I'm not asking you to tell us right now online, but then it's something that if you take a census of any number of people, you probably get less than 1% of them having a mental health policy at their workplace, unfortunately.
And that for me is very unfortunate. But briefly, before I let you go, let me give you some few scenarios and whether those could be early signs of the mental health of the individual starting to deteriorate. For example, you work in an organization, you are given what you may describe as unrealistic target. You go to a meeting, you are always taking on. You go to work early, you close late, you sit in traffic, and you get agitated. Your salary is not able to take you throughout the month. You have responsibilities you cannot meet. You are under pressure yourself, and you feel that you are being left behind. You are not getting what you need. Are these things that people must take serious view of when they start moving into that scenario?
So these are very important things, very important, crucial, practical things that you have just raised. And the truth of the matter is that these are things that tear down on the mental health of employees. I think most CEOs, most bosses do not necessarily pay attention to that. They are looking at maybe key performance indicators that they have set, how they are achieving those particular indicators for them to say that, okay, the company is progressing. But if the company progresses and gets to a certain point and the employees are not healthy, you realize that production will start dwindling.
Right.
Because you should be able to know that people can only give as much as they have. And if they do not have the soundness of mind, the amount of effort, they may even sustain physical injuries on the job.
Right.
And all these things will come back to bite you and reduce their working days. People will bring excuse duties from their hospitals, and you are obliged to go by the excuse duties, because you cannot say they should work when they are not healthy.
Right.
And at the end of the day, productivity will rather drop, and your profit as a business owner is also going to drop. So it comes back to benefit you as a business owner or as a boss, an MD or a CEO, to invest in the mental health of your employees. Yeah.
We'll have another forum to have through this, because this is a very important subject that we need to deal with. I don't think
very important.
You yourself said that
important.
You can virtually count the number of organizations in Ghana with that kind of support system. But we'll have another time for. Thank you very much, Mr. Yauche, for this very educative contribution. Now, the Ghana Boundary Commission has revealed that it has reaffirmed 350 kilometers of the country's land boundary with Togo, targeting more than 100 kilometers of work before the year ends. Speaking at a joint meeting between the Ghana Boundary Commission and the Togo Boundary Commission in the Togolese capital, Lomé, Commissioner General of the Ghana Boundary Commission, Major General Emmanuel Kotia, said reaffirmation exercises are important for maintaining security along Ghana's international borders. Boundary affirmation, especially that involved the replacement of destroyed or worn out boundary pillars. There's more in this report.
The Ghana Boundary Commission works to ensure that Ghana's land, maritime and air boundaries are effectively secured and managed. The meeting in Togo brought together personnel from the Ghana Boundary Commissions of Togo and Ghana. The main objective of the meeting was the continuation of the reaffirmation exercise on the international land boundary line between Ghana and Togo. Speaking at the opening ceremony, Commissioner General of the Ghana Boundary Commission, Major General Imanokotia, revealed that the Ghana Boundary Commission has reaffirmed 350 kilometers of the country's land boundary with Togo, targeting more than 100 kilometers of work before the year ends.
So far, as I mentioned, we have done about 350 kilometers of reaffirmation. We've gone through 4 phases. It has been a long way, and the technical teams are well prepared to continue with the exercise starting from tomorrow if possible. Envisaging that will come up with timelines when at least we should have some a distance of not less than 200 kilometers reaffirmed by the end of the year. We also, the second part is that we also want the construction of the boundary pillars to resume by the Togolese contractor, and then the Ghana contractor also start the construction of the boundary pillars from 150 kilometers up north. In all, we think that the technical committee should be able to meet immediately to resume this work as soon as possible.
Major General Imanokotia says the two commissions will work together to ensure that their land, maritime and air boundaries are effectively secured and managed.
The cooperation has been very good. Togo, for instance, has transited from one leadership to another leadership whilst this has been going on. And the transition has been very good because the new leadership of the Land Boundary Commission of Togo have been very cooperative, just like the first one. And I think that the zeal and the exuberance that the new leadership has brought is even going to help us to accelerate the work that we're doing along the international boundary line. We were hoping that by the end of this year, we would have even reached up, we would have gone up to the northeast region of Ghana, in line with our objective that we were doing. But because of the suspension since April, we're hoping that we should be able to catch up with not less than 200 kilometers so that we would see what we can do and continue with this project. Otherwise, the funding that we're getting from GIZ, we may be losing it altogether because GIZ have provided funding for this year for both the reaffirmation and the construction of the pillars.
Togo's Minister of Territorial Administration, Decentralization, Security and Civil Protection, who spoke in French, applauded the two boundary commissions, urging them to continue to work harmoniously for the good of both countries.
Well, it's time for me to take you across the borders of Ghana to Europe, because Europe has unveiled a new independent regulatory body that will resolve disputes between users and social media platforms. The Dublin-based Appeal Centre was born out of the EU's mission to rebalance the scales of power when it comes to big tech and the public. Here with more is Deutsche Welle correspondent Emily Leshner joining us from Berlin. So Emily, tell us about this regulatory body. What types of dispute is it going to resolve?
Center are 25 online platforms that the European Commission has designated and search engines that it calls very large online platforms. And this is because they reach a threshold of at least 45 million active users per month. And this appeal center, as it's going to be called, is going to be responsible for reviewing and helping resolve appeals that are brought by European users against these types of social media companies when these companies say that the user has violated their policy guidelines in some way. So say, for example, you post something on your YouTube account and the post and maybe even the entire account is taken down for what Meta says is a content violation policy. Right now, particularly if you're just a regular user and not somebody with a big online profile or an influencer, there isn't much recourse. You can put in an official complaint, but the process is pretty opaque. You could also go the legal route, which is costly and time consuming. So this is a way for the European Commission to try to give back some agency to the user who can appeal a decision made by a powerful social media company and have an independent review of that decision. And this appeal center is going to meet be made up of a team of human experts that are going to decide cases that relate to Facebook, to TikTok, and to YouTube just to start. The plan is that more social media platforms will be added to the process later. But this team of humans will have 90 days to review each case, and then they decide whether or not the decision made by the platform was consistent with their own policies. And as you mentioned, it's based in Dublin, where many of these tech companies have European headquarters.
So why is this happening in Europe, for example? Are we likely to see social media appeals centers pop up in other parts of the world?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, the EU is unique in that it really sees itself as playing a big role in protecting users from the companies that are running these powerful online platforms. And that's why it passed the EU Digital Services Act a couple of years ago. That's a legislation that aims to force the largest online companies to really tackle illegal content or face fines that can be up to 6% of their global turnover. And the bloc has already used this legislation to probe Facebook and Instagram for failing to tackle election-related disinformation. It also accused X, formerly Twitter, of breaching rules because it said the blue tick for verified accounts could be deceiving to users. So establishing a dispute resolution mechanism like this one is kind of part of this legislation. And so we might see appeal centers pop up in other places, but I think first we'd have to see this kind of dedication to better protecting users the way the EU has put forth first.
Exactly, it's paying for this.
Yeah, well, to get it off the ground, it's going to be funded by a one-time 130 million euro grant paid for by the Oversight Board of Meta. So this is the internal board that takes a look at appeals processes within Meta, the company that owns Facebook, Instagram, and WhatsApp. But they claim to remain completely independent. And the plan is that after this one-time funding of 130 million euro, that it's going to be funded through fees that are charged for each case. So users who raise a dispute will have to pay a fee of about €5 to bring their appeals to the center. They'll be refunded if the decision is in their favor, and social media companies will pay around €100 for each case. And Meta has said that, despite this initial funding, the appeals center does have the power to overrule the company on content moderation decisions. And Meta CEO Mark Zuckerberg, he says he promises to abide by their rulings.
All right, thank you so much, Emily, with our partners GWT. Now, if you've been following the game between Ghana and Sudan, it's almost 30 minutes. It's goalless. Ghana 0, Sudan 0. We have updates for you on all our social media platforms. But that's our show for today. For more stories, log on to our website, myjoyonline.com. You have it. Oliver Bakabomaro is sick again and requiring medical attention. Plus other stories making the news on myjoyonline.com. Whatever you are up to in the hours ahead, I hope is profitable. My name is Elton Gobe. Same time tomorrow, we shall be here with the Friday's edition of The Pulse, our special health focusing on breast cancer. We'll have that discussion as well. Until then, good evening and take care.